Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So Republicans in Ohio have lost their absolute effing minds, and I'm going to explain why, because you have this new map and we know what the Democrats are doing. California's going all in on redistricting. Virginia now as well. They're going all in on redistricting. And then you have Republican states like Indiana that decide to sit there limp-wristed and just say, oh no, we can't do this out of principle. We're unable to do it. We cannot decide to pick and choose which values. And it's like, if winning isn't your principle, then you need to reevaluate your entire priorities, because if your principles matter, it doesn't matter if you can't win. And the left is still going to redraw their maps. They're the worst offenders with the current map. We've been over this. They're going to call you a fascist. They're going to call you an authoritarian anyways. It doesn't matter if you draw out Republican seats. They won't acknowledge it. You know why? Because they want to win. They want to protect their narrative first and foremost. And I'm not telling Republicans they need to be as depraved as the left, but I'm going to tell them that you need to grow some balls. And that's the deal with Indiana. And I think Indiana possibly could at least make an 8-1 map or something like that. But you look at the South, Texas, good job. Florida, probably going to be a good job. North Carolina, good job. Who knows what's going to happen with the Voting Rights Act Section 2, because that could have a lot more seats get drawn out. So Ohio has decided to do something awful, and it's just really abysmal when you consider Virginia. I mean, a 9-2, possibly 10-1 map that they're going to draw out like 4 Republican seats there, and you won't even try to, continue to draw out the seats you were drawing out before. It's pathetic. Republicans possibly going to lose the House because of their own stupidity. And the worst part of all is the worst thing. They're making the map look ugly in the process, which the Democrats are going to use as propaganda to claim that it's like a Republican gerrymander. But if you look at the maps in Ohio, the margins, Republicans really only are probably this cycle at most going to gain 1 seat, and that's it, which is abysmal. They're making Amelia Sykes' seat bluer by 3 points when they would have an opportunity to make it R+10. It's ridiculous what's going on. I don't know what these people think they're doing. They think they can compromise with the Democrats. They don't want to compromise with you. They won't even tell a candidate who's fantasizing about murdering the young children of his political opponent for political reasons to drop out of the race, even though it probably would help them in the process. But no, they can't do that. This is how depraved these people are, and you want to compromise with them? Seriously? Like Ohio, you got to grow some balls. I don't know what is going on here. And here's the worst part of all, because what they're doing is they're drawing a map that you could have an easy map, an easy like 13-2 map where every seat that's Republicans like R+10, R+14 or more. And I'm not saying you have to split Cincinnati. If you want to draw a blue vote sink in Cincinnati, that's the place to do it, because it is trending to the left anyways, and you don't want to put multiple seats at risk. And on top of it, you would be able to make the Toledo seat redder, and you'd be able to make the seat, in the Akron area redder. But no, these people can't, do that, which would be basic common sense. They don't want to engage in that common sense. They want to engage in lunacy and draw a map that is far uglier and less effective. The 13th district gets bluer. The 9th district gets redder, but Marcy Kaptur's an overperformer in a midterm year. There is a chance that she would be able to hold on. She's a strong fundraiser in a district that would be something like an R+10, but if you made it R+15, which you could do, it wouldn't exactly matter. Now, she probably does, in my opinion, fall short, but it's not going to be by much. It's going to take resources away. Amelia Sykes will hold on, and the 1st district, I think that in the midterms, you probably would see the Democrat hold it. Maybe Republicans can flip it back in 2028. Maybe the 13th could trend, but you don't need to just lose like this. You have the House on the line. and a very good chance to hold it. Democrats are fighting back, and you're laying down. You can't take, on these people doing it. When you go out there and try to cave, they pounce. That's the problem. And so many weak Republicans, they still don't get it. Donald Trump, he gets it. J.D. Vance, he gets it. And this is his state. But he's not the one that's doing this. But the old guard Republicans, yes, they're being phased out. These are people that simply just don't know what time it is. They don't. They're still stuck in 2014, 2004 even. Like, the just lack of strength that they project is precisely why the country is in this position that we're in. I've always said America is only as strong as its weakest conservative, because the conservatives are supposed to uphold the fabric of the nation. They can't do it. They really can't, because they constantly just play by the rules the other side writes. But here's the problem that I have with that. The other side goes out of their way to do exactly what they're accusing Republicans of doing. Republicans in Texas were indeed justified for their redraw, and there are plenty of reasons for why that is. But I think that the first main reason is the census was done wrongly and poorly. You have Democrats, 2020 was a mixed bag. Republicans got to redraw North Carolina. Meanwhile, the Democrats redrew New York and just tacked on a random seat in the middle of Alabama and Louisiana, again, because weak conservatives on the Supreme Court, even some of the ones that were appointed by Donald Trump, decided to cave. Now, it seems like they might reverse that decision this year, which is a good sign, which is good news, but it's like the House could come down to 3 seats, 4 seats, 5 seats that you could make solidly Republican in those 2 states, in Indiana and Ohio, and you just decided to do what exactly? Draw a stupid map for the sake of a compromise that they're not going to take seriously. If Ohio just doesn't do what they intended to do, guess what? Virginia will, because if you already say you're going to do something, you better follow through on it, or you're just going to look like a coward. Nobody's going to like you. You cannot appease the left. If you're appeasing the left anyways, you're doing something wrong. And these people don't seem to grasp that. They don't seem to get it because they're stuck in the bubble of, politics 20 years ago when they first got into politics. They don't really understand the way the climate operates. Meanwhile, the Democrats have always been this way. They've always been progressing. They call themselves the progressives. They've been always progressing the country further and further into trying to prop them up as a one-party state, essentially, trying to make the Republicans a regional party. And the Republicans have played into that, and they were becoming a regional party. Maybe they'll win the midterms or special elections. But Donald Trump, not just once, twice, and arguably another halftime, was able to go out there and win and take the country to where it needed to be and just set the Democrat Party back a significant amount of time. And when he's in power, he's trying to do the same. I mean, this is constitutional power. You have the right to do it. If you look at the Democrat states that don't have independent commissions, and even some of the ones that do, they are awful gerrymanderers. They don't practice what they preach whatsoever. They've been the ones leading the charge against it. And then you have the census miscount. Texas decides to move forward. Democrats throw a temper tantrum. Again, can't let that happen. So the whole thing is a big mess. Ohio really just making a big mistake. Ohio Republicans have no idea what the hell they're doing. They need to correct course. Indiana needs to correct course. Missouri, now they're trying to let it go on the ballot, which I think it probably isn't going to work out in the Democrats' favor. But still, the whole thing is ridiculous. Texas and Florida, depending on what happens in Florida, they did the right thing. North Carolina did the right thing. Missouri, to an extent, did the right thing. These other states don't seem to really get it. And it's like you have a state where the Democrats have awful geography, and you're drawing a map that is less aesthetic to possibly gain 0 seats, by the way, make one of the seats bluer, and this map is just generally one of the ugliest things that I've ever seen, when you could draw a map that is really aesthetic and would give you every single seat potentially in the state. So a big error for Republicans. These are the old guard, and they do what they do best. They try to lose, try to placate the other side, and nothing of note ever gets accomplished because of it. And it's really infuriating. We need to really make sure these people get into shape if they want to be in elected office, and if not, primary them by any means necessary. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.